We've got some great neighbors. We've been very fortunate in the time that we've been moving around. We've got lots of good friends in all the neighborhoods that we've lived in. We've got one fella that lives right next to us, Louis, his wife Chrissy. They help us with everything. He's climbing ladders, doing all kinds of things for us. I like to make him some cookies. I have a special recipe that I got when we were living in California. It was tough. We didn't have any babysitters, so we joined a babysitting co-op, and the ladies would change recipes. One of the recipes was this. As you can see, it is a very frayed chocolate chip cookie recipe. It was wonderful. So there are a couple things about it that you have to be careful, and I'll go through these as we make the cookies. So this batch of cookies is enormous. You can feed an army with it. Every neighbor in the neighborhood can get cookies. Before we start, I've got my oven heating up to 350. I've put everything out that I need to use. I'm going to bake instead of on wax paper because they didn't have Silpats back then. So I'm using Silpats. They work the same. I also have a cookie rack over here to cool the cookies. I am going to use an ice cream scoop to put the cookies on the trays. I've got 3 trays ready to go. And I also have, this is a little Pampered Chef item that has been indispensable in the kitchen. It's just a little small spatula, and I think this is about my 3rd one. Absolutely love it. So we're going to get started. I like to use good quality chocolate. I am using today Ghirardelli. If you've ever been out to San Francisco and you visited the Ghirardelli plant, that's a lot of fun. We're going to start off with a pound of butter. Now let me tell you about the butter. If you use salted butter, your cookies are going to have a little bit of salt taste. You don't want that. And so you're going to use unsalted butter. Now the recipe says you can use imperial margarine, but I think we're going to go, my neighbor likes real butter, so we're going to go with that. So we're going to use a pound of softened butter, and we're going to get the mixer going here. We're going to lift it up. Using a KitchenAid mixer. It's a 7-quart, so you can pretty much handle this. This is, like I said, this is a big batch of cookies. So we've got the KitchenAid mixer going. We're going to add 2 cups of dark brown sugar, not the light brown. There will be a taste difference if you add the light brown. Although if you're in a pinch, use the light brown. So we're going to add that 2 cups packed. So you don't want it just loosely in there, you want that packed. So the mixture's going. Make sure you use a good spatula because you're going to go down and scrape the bowl in a little bit. So 2 cups packed. You're going to use 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. There are a lot of different sugars you can use, but I like to use the white granulated sugar. So we're going to add 1.5 cups of that. It's a little dusty, and we've just got that mixer going on about medium speed. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. I buy my vanilla in bulk, although I have a good friend, Lori Woodard, who makes the best vanilla extract you've ever tasted. She does it with real alcohol, drinking alcohol, and she does it with vanilla bean. Wonderful. She used to make it when we were living in Indonesia, and she'd sell it. It was good stuff. So we've got 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract, and it goes right in. Just a little bit of liquid in this mixture. Then we're going to add 3 eggs. I bring my eggs to room temperature. I think that's important in this recipe. You don't want your eggs to be very, very chilled. So we're going to put that in there. Here we go. We've got the 3 eggs going. Now the next part is, as I said, it's a big batch. We've got 6 cups of all-purpose flour. White Lily's good. There's King Arthur's good. Any of these, you can use just basic flour. So we're going to slowly add the 6 cups and keep the mixer running the entire time. Today, I'm only going to use chocolate chips. Sometimes I'll use nuts in it. We're not going to use the nuts because I think Louis likes them without nuts. And I've got some new neighbors down the street too. We're going to go meet for the first time. Might be a little scary if I wear this shirt though. So we're slowly adding this in and incorporating it. You really can't see it. I don't want to move the camera. What I need to do is get a drone and do these videos. I'll have to ask Mark about that. Adding that in. A little bit more. Now the dough is lightening up, so it's turning a lighter color. When I first started, of course, it was nice and dark with that dark brown sugar. So it's very important that that butter be at room temperature. You want to make sure that it moistens up your dough, because that is part of your liquid. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. It's starting to, the dough is getting pretty thick in there. There we go. Almost done. 6 cups is a lot. 6 cups is really the capacity of this mixer. You can't do much more. So put this over here. The next thing you're going to add is your salt. And remember, I told you that we wanted to use an unsalted butter. It's because you add the salt. And then you're going to add the baking soda. So the baking soda, the salt inhibits it stops the rising with the baking soda. So what you want to do is make sure you use the salt and not use it in the butter. So we've got 1.5 teaspoons of salt. This is not where you use the sea salt, you use regular salt. So here it goes, it's going in. Try to make sure it gets mixed in there. And then we're going to take the baking soda and we're going to put it in there. Always use fresh baking soda. Take your baking soda after a period of time, toss it out, or use it to clean something. Baking soda is great for cleaning and also for keeping your refrigerators nice and fresh smelling, and your dishwasher and your disposal. So we're going to turn this off right now, and we're going to push the dough off of the beater. It's almost full, and you'll see when I add the chocolate chips that there's really a lot in this mixer. I like the KitchenAid. I also like the Kenwood. I still have my Kenwood because it's got all the attachments, because when I do sausage and that type of thing, I use the Kenwood to grind up the meat. So we're going to push this all the way down because we want to make sure that we get that baking soda and that salt incorporated in there together. All right, and we're going to hit it again. There it goes. So here's a bag of the Ghirardelli that I'm using today. There are lots of chocolates on the market, so use what you like. If you want to get Nestle's, that's good too. Whatever makes you happy. That's what cooking's all about. All right, one more time to push these down. And let me show you a little bit of what the dough looks like. It's looking like this. Now, it's not good to eat raw cookie dough, you know that, but this is really good stuff. So don't eat the raw cookie dough. That's the caveat today. I'll put that over there. I have 4 cups of chocolate chips. I did semi-sweet here, so I have 2 cups of semi-sweet. And then I have 2 cups of milk chocolate. This recipe really called for semi-sweet throughout the entire recipe, but what I like personally is the sweetness of the chocolate. So this is, as I said, the real milk chocolate. So we're gonna take the semi-sweet and we're gonna put that in there. We're gonna get this mixer going again. Let that mix. Now you'll see the dough's rising above the edge. Let's turn that off and get that back down there. Let's go again. Sometimes if you have a smaller mixer, this might be a challenge for it. I'm gonna turn that off now. And we're going to add some of the milk chocolate. Now the recipe calls for 2 cups of nuts. So sometimes by this point in time, the mixer is full. So what I would do is take a larger bowl, incorporate the 2 cups of nuts with my hand, the chopped nuts, not full pecans. So I like to use pecans or walnuts with this. I'm going to turn it off again, incorporate more of the chocolate. There's a lot of chocolate in there. Can you imagine this cookie with a good cup of hot chocolate, or possibly a nice bowl of ice cream and cookies? I like it. So anyway, it's coming over the edge again. So we're going to get that back in there. It's pretty much incorporated. We're going to drop the bowl. We're going to pull the dough off the beater. There we go. And I think what we'll do is leave that in until we get some of these off. And I'll move these. So we're going to use an ice cream scoop. And you can use a little one for mini cookies, or you can use a larger one. But you know, you're going to have to change your baking time. So this one's going to be about like this, about 2 tablespoons worth. And make sure you space them out. So for cookies this size, you're going to wind up having to bake them a little bit longer. So 10 to 12 minutes. I like a soft cookie. That's for soft cookies. If you want a harder, crunchier cookie, you're going to have to bake it a little bit longer. Sometimes even up to 15 minutes. So you need to play with this the first time, and then, you know, test it out. Test out your first batch and see how they do. The smaller the cookie, the less cooking time. So if you're using a smaller scoop, I have one by Pampered Chef. We're using one about this size. That your cookies are going to be done in about 9 minutes. So gauge your cookies by the size of your scoop. If you're just doing them, taking them and rolling them in a ball, you can do that too. So you can take your dough and roll it into a small ball and cook it. So anyway, these are going to go into the oven, and we'll let you know how they are after they come out. Hi, we're back. And these came out of the oven. We left them in an extra minute, so these wound up cooking for 13 minutes. Like I said, we used a larger scoop. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but they're nice, they're beautiful. So we're gonna take them off of the sill pad, and we're gonna put them on a cooling rack. And as you can see, we've got a cooling rack right here. And we're gonna let them cool there, and then I'm gonna box them up for my neighbor next door, and then also for the new neighbor down the street. So one of these cookies will definitely hit the spot. So anyway, that's it. Remember, for this recipe, if you use a large scoop, then you're gonna have to make sure your cooking time is a little bit longer. You can find this recipe on my food blog. It's CABEUSER.WordPress. So go on. A lot of these recipes are on that. A lot of the videos are on that also. So go in, like it, and we'll see you later. Thanks for stopping in.